Hi there, it's Tracy Kiernan from stepbysteppainting.net, and this tutorial will show you how to paint this Valentine girl gnome. So there's a couple things you can do with this painting. You can do it as a couples painting. I have a boy version of this, so you can do a side-by-side painting, or you can pick one or the other. I will be demonstrating how to do the girl version of this, and I have traceables for both versions of this, and of course you can draw it. I'll be showing you also how to draw it as well, how to draw the girl version of it. So the first thing we're going to do is we need to draw a line on the bottom of the canvas, and I'm going to position my ruler about 3 or 4 inches from the bottom. It doesn't have to be exact. So the top part of it is the background and the bottom part is the ground. The background and ground are a very abstract combination of colors. I have on my palette 3 colors: light portrait pink, titanium white, and this is unbleached titanium. It's that beige color. I will be using a 3/4 inch flat wash brush for this step. And I'm going to load my brush in the water, kind of tap it dry, and I'm going to triple load my brush. That means that I'm going to dip it in the white, and I'm going to dip the corners in that light pink and the beige color. And I'm just going to simply take my brush and apply the color to the canvas. So it's going to make this light sort of pastel-y, kind of reminds me of rose gold, like a rose gold sort of look, because of the light pink with the beige, kind of gives it that gold sort of look. But anyway, it's going to create this really abstract sort of background, and I'm going to take my brush, and I call these X-style strokes because we're just kind of painting in all kinds of directions. Although I'm kind of emphasizing having my strokes kind of going in a diagonal direction. But you don't have to do that. You can have it go kind of whichever way you want. So it's super relaxing, really easy, sort of carefree. Just grab the colors and have them blend together on the canvas. Fill up the entire area. Don't paint below the line. That's going to be a darker color area. And you can control how light or dark. So if you want it to be super light, just add a lot of white to it. If you want it to be kind of dark in some areas, you can take that pink and add more pink in that area. And same with the beige color. So you can kind of control different areas of different colors. And the important thing is to not mix it all the way. So we want it to be kind of unblended. Of course, the colors are blending together, but we're not blending them all the way, because if we did that, it would all be one solid color. And you're just going to relax and fill up the entire area of the canvas with this technique. Next, you'll be doing the ground of this painting, and it has a darker color in it called Quinacridone Magenta. That's what I just loaded my palette with, and I did not even rinse my brush. That's okay, because we're going to mix colors into this magenta anyway. So we're going to take that 3/4 flat wash brush and paint left and right horizontal strokes in that entire area. If it seems like your paint kind of dried up there a little bit, you can add a little bit of water to the tip of your brush, and then you can grab some other colors in there. I'm grabbing that light pink portrait color, in there, and I'm kind of blending it with the magenta. So you can kind of have fun and freestyle here and add the beige or the white if you want to do that. It just needs to be darker than the background, and also the direction of the strokes are going horizontal this time. You'll want to let your painting dry before going on to the next step, and the next step involves drawing the gnome. I will be showing you how to draw the girl gnome, and if you're not doing the drawing, you can do the traceable. I have the girl and the boy traceable depending on which one you're doing, and so I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to draw her lightly with a pencil, and I'm going to start with the nose. So super easy shape, pretty much right in the center of the canvas. So we're going to draw a light oval right in the center. I'll make it a little bit darker so you can see it. Then we're going to do the bottom part of the gnome hat. So this piece kind of hugs the top part of the nose. So we're just going to kind of draw this sort of wavy line that slightly hangs down, and then we're going to make it into a shape. So you can see the sizing of this. If I spread my hand out, the width of it is about the width of my fingers. And then we're going to take the hat and kind of go up, and the sides of the hat are kind of wavy, and it gets a little narrow at the top, but then it curves at the top. It doesn't go to the point at the top. It curves down, and the tip of the hat goes to a point on the left. If you wanted it to go to the right, you can do that. And then there is a heart that hangs on the tip of the hat. So I'm going to draw a heart. I'll go ahead and make this slightly darker so that you can see the shape of the hat. And so this is the girl gnome. So she's got her hair tied in pigtails, and they hang down. I guess the hair starts out kind of wide at the top, and then it kind of it gathers in the middle. And then there's a little oval right there at the bottom of where the hair is tied. And then we'll have to draw the little pieces that are hanging down from the hair, but I'm making these shapes a little bit darker. And the bottom of the hair is like a teardrop shape. It goes to a point, and it kind of goes in a different direction on each side. And then the robe or the gown that she's wearing is kind of awkward because we don't see her mouth or anything, but it kind of starts at the top, and then it's going to drape down below the pink area. So you could draw a wavy line to where the bottom of her robe is. And then you would do 2 ovals for her feet. And then with the arms, I already did diagonal lines that kind of line up. The top part lines up with the top part of her robe. And then you want to kind of figure out the angle that you want the arms to be at, because she will be holding a heart. So if you wanted her to be kind of holding it up, I'm going to erase this one and kind of make it lower. And then the other arm is going to be slightly elevated upwards because she's going to be holding the heart. But then, so her hand is a really simple sort of mitten shape for a hand. And then the arm on the left, I'm going to have it be kind of at a different angle. So it's going to be angled upwards. So I'm going to do the sleeve and then the little mitten shape for the hand. And then she's going to be holding a heart. So really simple, nothing too complicated. You can have her hold different things if you don't want to have her hold the heart. And then I'm just going to make her robe and shoes a little bit darker. So that's it for the drawing portion of the gnome, and next we're going to be painting the nose and the hands, and we're going to be using two colors for this, the beige color, that unbleached titanium color, and raw sienna, which is a really light brown. And I'm going to mix a little bit of that raw sienna in with the unbleached titanium. So I'll be using a number 4 round brush for this. I'm going to wet it and kind of pinch it. And then I'll be mixing on my palette a little bit of the beige with the brown. I want it to be darker so that it stands out against that. The background has a lot of beige in it, so it may not show up if it's super light. And so I'm just going to kind of add my brown into it until I get the shade that I want to use for the nose. And then I'm just going to go ahead and paint that oval in, as well as the hands. Go ahead and rinse your brush off and freshen up some titanium white on your palette if you need to. We are going to paint the hair next. So the hair is a white color. If you are going to be doing gray hair, you need to keep in mind the color of the robe. So I'm doing a gray robe, and it's not going to stand out if it's the same shade of gray. So I decided to keep the hair very light. There are gray streaks in the hair, but there's a lot of white. It's super bright. So if you're changing colors on this, you're just going to kind of think of contrasting colors. You can certainly do the robe a pink or a red color if you want to do that. So I'm just taking the white and that number 4 round brush, and I'm just filling in that shape, going in strokes that are sort of the strands of the hair. So I'm painting each strand of the hair and the bottom piece as well. So just kind of outlining that shape and filling it in. So you don't want to paint horizontal strokes or anything. You want to have your strokes kind of go in the direction of her hair, even though it's just solid white, but you still want to get your strokes to go in that direction. I'm going to load my palette with some Mars Black, and I'm going to be making a sort of a medium gray shade of gray on my palette by mixing the black and the white together. So you need more white than black to make the gray, so a little bit of black and a little bit more white. And I'm just going to take that, and it's going to look super dark at first here, but I'm just taking that gray and I'm painting strands of hair, just like the texture of her hair, using the very tip of the brush. So very lightly with the strokes, and kind of vary them. Some of the strokes are a little bit thicker, some are a little bit thinner. And then I'm going to go back over with white, and I'm just going to kind of paint some more strokes of strands of hair with that white. Of course, there's still gray on my brush, so it's kind of blending with the white, but it's giving some more layers of texture in the hair. Next, I'm going to rinse my brush and load my palette with the color Naphthol Crimson. It is a red. You can use any red color. You don't have to use this exact one. But I am going to do the little hair ties with the bright red color. Still use the number 4 round brush for this step. So I'm just going to paint the little ovals where her hair kind of gathers in the middle. The next step I'm going to demonstrate is how to paint the robe. And so this robe is a sort of a medium gray color. If you have gray acrylic paint, you can use that, but I'm going to make gray. This is a number 8 round brush, and I'm just going to mix on my palette a sort of medium gray consistency. So you need more white than black, but kind of get it to where it's darker than the hair, because if it's the same shade of gray as the hair, it will not stand out. So about 4 shades darker than the hair, or at least 4 shades darker. A little bit of water into that paint as well to get it to kind of flow. And we're just going to take this number 8 round brush and paint the entire area or the entire shape of the robe. So you want to make sure you're painting around the hair and not painting over it or anything like that. Paint under the nose, and then you'll paint the sleeves of the arms as well. So down here with the robe, I want it to look like it's draping over her shoes. So I'm going to just kind of take it and purposely get it to curve down and kind of droop down on the ground in the middle between her shoes and on the sides of her shoes as well. Next, I'm going to do the edging of her sleeves, and I freshened up some titanium white on my palette. Did not rinse my brush, I just wiped it off and loaded it into the white. I'm just going to do a white sort of stroke that divides her hand and the sleeve, so the edging of her sleeve. And then I went back with the white and touched up her hair, especially if there are parts of the gray gown that kind of overlapped the hair accidentally. You can just go back over it and touch it up. You can also, if you want to get extra fancy, you can paint little strands of hair sort of sticking out on the sides, just little texture pieces that kind of hang off and overlap the gray a little bit. I'm just dragging the tip of my brush to create those little pieces that sort of create the texture edging of the hair. It gives it a nice touch. And then I painted 2 little highlight lines on her hair piece, her little hair tie. Next, we're going to rinse and dry and load our palette with some fresh Mars Black. I will be painting the shoes next. So the oval shapes, and the robe is sort of overlapping the shoe. So we wouldn't see all of that oval. We would see kind of most of it, but a little bit of it at the top is hidden because the robe kind of drapes down over it. And then I went in there and added a few strands with just the tip of my brush, a little bit of black, not too much, not too crazy because then it might take over, but a few black strands in the hair. Next, I will be doing the hat, so rinse my brush off all the way. I'm going to load the palette with some Quinacridone Magenta, so you can customize the hat with different colors if you want, or copy my colors. And the bottom piece, so the bottom edging of the hat, is Quinacridone Magenta. I'm using that number 8 round brush, and I'm just painting the strokes in the direction of the hat. So the hat is hanging over the nose piece and over the top part of the head, and just this shape area. I tend to not paint in all my lines when I do a drawing. I adjust the painting as I go, so you'll see some open drawing lines, and that's just because I chose not to paint that in. And that's okay to do that. When your painting dries, you can always erase any leftover lines that are still showing. But I wanted the sides of the head piece to look like it's kind of going behind her head, so I had it hang down a little bit on the left and the right. And so the rest of the hat is a lighter pink color. And without even rinsing my brush, I grabbed titanium white, and quickly it turns into a really pretty light magenta color. So I am just taking this white and quinacridone. It's mixing together on the canvas to create the light pink. If you don't like painting that way, if you don't like blending colors on the canvas, you could always use or make the light pink on your palette. So you can mix the quinacridone and the white together to make a medium magenta color, and use that color to paint in if you don't like it blending on the canvas. But I love it when these colors sort of vary and blend, but not all the way. It really gives it a lot of interest to look at, interesting colors to look at, because it's not all one solid color. And because I'm painting in sort of curved stroke, it's giving our hat some natural sort of folds and texture, kind of gives it that look. So I'm kind of doing that on purpose. So I'm just painting in curved strokes in the direction of the hat. And I'm just going to continue to add this color and go all the way up, and the hat's going to hang down. So your strokes, they're going in a curve, so they're going to eventually kind of curve downwards. And right here it goes to a point. So I just outlined that area, and then I'm going to fill it in. And it's okay if our color is changing and it's kind of darker in this area. It's not a problem at all, but just try to keep the shape of it. So outlining it and filling it in is always a good technique. If you wanted your hat to look like it sort of has some folds or wrinkles, I'm just taking this white and I'm kind of purposely getting it to kind of go inward. So I'm outlining the hat, and then I'm stroking inwards with it. Not all the way across inwards, just a little bit, and it makes it look like it's kind of folded in that area. And you can do kind of a few strokes also going inwards on the left. If you wanted to do the same thing on the right side of the hat with like a darker magenta, you can do that as well. So right here, I'm just taking just the magenta, and I'm doing a few little lines on the left side of the hat, a few little folded wrinkle sort of lines. You just drag it kind of a little bit inwards, and it creates the texture of the hat. And then the heart that's dangling on the hat is, this is the Naphthol Crimson color. You can use any color you want. I just like this red color. She is holding a heart, so I'm just going to make a random pink color on my palette. I'm going to grab some white and some of that magenta and kind of mix it together, and I'll just paint the heart in that color. Next, I'm going to completely rinse my brushes and set them to the side, and actually just use the number 4 round brush next. And I'm going to add a second coat to the nose of the gnome and her hands. And just because I think it needs a second coat, so it kind of stands out a little bit better. So I'm just taking that and redefining the nose. And then I'm going to go ahead and add a second coat to the hands as well. The next thing I'm going to do is the little designs that are on her robe. So you don't have to do this, but the little designs kind of give it a really pretty, nice touch. You can do hearts or buttons or anything unique that you want to do, but this is just the number 4 round brush and titanium white. And I'm just going to start by doing a line on the bottom. And I'm just going to take that and go ahead and do little different designs as I work my way up the robe. So zigzags, dots, stripes, little X's. You can even do little hearts if you want. Be really creative with it and just kind of relax and have fun. So it's going up the robe, and notice the designs aren't going exactly horizontal. They're kind of wavy, going in a wavy direction instead of going perfectly horizontal, if that makes sense, just because the robe is like the way it would be draping on her, it wouldn't be exactly straight across. But just kind of keep that in mind. It gives it a nice little touch if you have the designs kind of curve in the direction that her robe is going. And I'm just going to continue up all the way, and I'll do a few little designs on her sleeve as well. And then I took that white and did a few little highlights on, so I did it on the nose. Just a little stroke of white on the nose, a little stroke of white on the hands, and a little stroke of white right there on the bottom of the hat. Gives it a nice little touch. And on the shoes as well. Then on her hat, she has 3 little hearts in the lower sort of right area of the hat with the white, so 3 different sized hearts. Paint them in solid white. You can do different designs on the hat if you want, but I thought that if there was designs on the hat and on her robe, it might be a little bit too busy. There's too much line action going on. So just 3 simple little hearts. I love painting hearts, so there's a lot of hearts all over this painting. Next, I decided to do little dots on the heart that's hanging from her hat. So I just took the round brush and the white and did little dots all over it. And then the heart that she's holding has little tiny spiral designs on it. Next, I'll be demonstrating how to do the shadow that's kind of under her shoes. And so this is a watercolor technique. We want to water down our red. So I put water on my brush and I kind of distributed it into the Naphthol Crimson, that red color, until it's a watercolor consistency. And I'm just taking that very thin paint and I'm adding it below the shoes. So the red should show up pretty dark. Then if you want, if you're feeling extra brave, you can add just a teeny bit of black. Just dip the tip of your brush in a little bit of black and kind of paint left and right horizontal strokes with the darker color just under the shoes, and it gives it a little bit of a shadowy area. Next, I'll be painting these little heartstrings that are hanging over here in the upper right area. So there's 3 strings, and I did that with the black. This is that number 4 round brush. I'm twisting it to get that black right there on the tip, but it's a slightly watered down black too. So 3 vertical lines. You can also do this with a paint pen if you're really nervous painting these really thin lines, but 3 lines, and they don't have to be perfect. There are also 3 different, they're not all the same length. They're a long one, a short one, and a medium one. And then I'm just going to take my brush and do 3 different shades of red or pink. So you can use any color and do 3 different hearts of 3 different sizes that are hanging on the strings. So this is still that number 4 round brush, and right here I'm doing Naphthol Crimson, and I'm just outlining the shape of the heart. The hearts are kind of elongated, and then filling them in solid. And then I'm going to add some light portrait pink to my palette because that color hasn't showed up in a while. So I grabbed that color and mixed it with whatever is on my brush. The Naphthol Crimson, it kind of gives it sort of a peach looking color. And I'll fill this one in as well. And then the other heart is going to be lighter. So I'm going to grab some titanium white and outline the shape of the heart and then fill it in solid. Then I'm just going to take a pop of white and do these sort of diagonal lines in them, give it a little bit of an interest rather than having it be one solid color. And that's it for the string of hearts. The next few things I'm going to do are some touch-ups. So I'm just grabbing this black, and this is very subtle. You don't have to do this, but I'm just taking that black and I want to outline just the bottom part of her hat. Kind of gives it a little bit of a darker area right there. And then the bottom part of her hair ties as well. And then a little bit on the bottom of her robe as well, the bottom of her dress. Then I want to touch up the heart that she's holding. So I rinsed my brush and grabbed that magenta color, and I just went in there and I just kind of extended the side of the heart a little bit so it's more matching her thumb, so it looks like she's holding it. And that is it, my friends. This is the conclusion of how to paint the girl gnome. I'm going to go ahead and sign my name with, I'm going to make this like super dark red color with the number 4 round brush. I'm just going to sign my name in the lower left. One thing that I do want to point out is if you still have pencil drawings, mine, you can't really see them, but there are little pencil drawings left. That can be erased as soon as the painting is all finished and dry, so you can erase any pencil marks still showing. But that is the conclusion of how to paint the Girl Gnome Valentine's Day tutorial.